if you are a victim to your life and you say, well, it just doesn't hurt bad enough, guess what? It's up to you if you want to make it hurt enough.
Hmm.
Every single thing that you do contributes to how you live your life and what kind of life you live.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't happy with where you're at, that has nothing to do with anyone else and everything to do with you.
All right. Bobbie Oliver, welcome to the Beyond the Norm podcast.
Hello, hello. How are you, Jimmy?
Good. I appreciate you being on. And start off, we're in the same mastermind. That's where we met, got to know each other a little bit. Legacy Family Mastermind, which I can't ever recommend enough to people. But yeah, glad you're on. Glad you're in Colorado, right?
I am in Denver. You got it.
Okay.
Originally from Idaho, which I think is kind of how we first connected because
Yeah.
we were talking about you and your daughter going hunting up north
Yeah.
and talking about the areas up there and how great they are. And we've
Yes.
stayed in touch over the past year. And it's been great to see just how much you've done, like going on the podcast with Tim
Yeah.
and doing your, what is that called? The podcast. And then did you do like a recording?
Legacy Wealth Academy
That's
video.
right, Legacy Wealth Academy. Yep. It's gonna kill me for forgetting
Yeah,
that.
you were on Tim's podcast as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
I think
It was almost like a year ago, which is
Yeah, I was gonna
crazy.
say you were like a couple months before I was on there, so
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
time
it's so
flies.
cool watching each other grow. Like
Yeah.
I think that's so underrated when you get into a mastermind or a group is when you stay in touch with people and they do what they say and we all follow up with each other.
Yeah,
And you get to watch how people evolve and it is
yeah,
one of the coolest aspects of it.
it is. It's unlike school or like other groups that are less I don't know, less engaged. Where yeah, you come back a year later like oh, I'm still struggling with the same problems, or they've given up on that thing and they've started something else, and so.
Yep.
Well, with that, why don't you give us a little bit about your story, your background, your journey into entrepreneurship, and let us hear let's hear how it's gone for you.
You want to hear about my childhood trauma and PTSD? I got you.
Whatever you want to talk about, however far back you want to go.
Also, don't mind me. I have a little bit of a cold.
That's all
I
right.
may dab my nose a little bit.
I just got over. I think it lasted like 6 weeks for me. It was head cold. I don't get sick typically, and it was head cold and everything else. So I know it's going around.
Yeah, it's I hate to say it's that time of year, but I think we all kind of mentally go to a place where we just accept it. If it happens,
Right.
we
Yeah.
deal with it. You know
You
what
just
I
got to deal
mean?
with it.
But yeah, a little bit about me. My name is Bobbie. I do live in Denver. I'm a real estate investor and a business consultant. So, um, I'm only 25, but I feel like when I go to talk about myself, it's almost like I could have five different lives with everything that I've done. And that's not something to brag about, you know? Like I wish that I could just kind of be normal and go with the flow and kind of live at a normal pace.
Yeah.
And life is just not that way. And so I've leaned into that. And as I have, new opportunities have come up just constantly. And I try to take them on, and then it leads to new ventures and new businesses and new partners. And I mean, especially this last year has been just a huge blessing. And as I've told, people like in Legacy, 2023 was like the hardest year of my life because I accepted new challenges, because of new opportunities that I allowed in. I could have easily like stayed in my 9 to 5, as I'm sure you know, Jimmy, like you
Yep.
could have stayed in your 9 to 5. It's comfortable, it's easy, gets
Oh,
the
yeah.
job done, pays the bills, and that's about it.
Yep.
And I think for the entrepreneur brain, it's so dissatisfying to live in neutrality.
Yeah. Oh,
Neutrality is so uncomfortable. And I finally got to a point where I said, I'm done with this permanently, because I had been kind of in and out of a 9 to 5 for a couple years
hmm
and thought, no, I know I'm capable of more. I'm doing myself a disservice by staying in the 9 to 5 and by living in this neutral state.
Mm.
And so I left my 9 to 5 about 11 months ago. I was fired actually.
Nice.
Oh, well, yeah. So I was like doing accounting and it's accounting, right? Like I went to school for economics.
Yeah.
I had already had my own business. Like accounting was pretty easy, right? And I just was like done with my job, had a new boss, and thought, I'm just going to see how long it takes for them to notice that I'm not doing this. Because what I had done is I had automated my entire job
Yeah.
and they didn't necessarily need me, right? And then finally, about 2 months after the new boss showed up, he was like, Hey, so I noticed you're not really doing anything. And I was like, That's because I fixed everything.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. I've worked
And then
my, I was too good for my job. I've worked myself out of it.
pretty much, I mean,
Yeah.
not saying that to brag, it was just kind of like that, again, like living in that neutral state, right? And that actually happened like a week before I went to go film for
Nice.
Legacy. And that's when I like had announced my new company that I had already been working on. And so ever since that, I just thought I'm never going back to a 9 to 5. Like I've
Yeah.
officially burned those ships and have put acid in the water so I couldn't even build a new ship if I wanted
Yeah.
to.
Amen. That's
It
awesome.
is time to move on. You're capable of this.
Yeah.
And this past year, it's just been one incredible opportunity after another.
That's so pause it right there. Like what were the like what was the catalyst? Like maybe the final straw or even like the series of events that finally said, you know what, this has been on my heart. It's been you know, it's been that itch that I haven't been able to scratch and I'm going for it to burn the boats.
It's a good question. I think a lot of it comes from self-confidence, and that's
Mhm.
something that takes time, right?
Yeah.
You can't fake confidence. Like as much as we want to think we can, we can't. And like I had two companies before going back into the 9 to 5. And then when I went through a divorce and when I went through just, COVID in 2020 and ended up selling those businesses, how old was I? 21, 22, and I kind of thought like, oh, I shot and I missed and maybe I'm not any better than
Mhm.
working a 9 to 5. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm not good enough or strong enough. And so I got comfortable and got in the 9 to 5. And I mean, even like in 2020 when I, sold a business and got divorced and was like living in just the worst circumstances you can imagine. Like we're talking hole in the roof and I got my water shut off and car payments overdue and a 9 to 5, I was like, that's the best I can do right now, right?
Yeah.
And so living in that for a year before really getting into real estate and like doing my first flip, it was like all these little actions that I had to take in order to build up that confidence. And
Stacking
so
wins.
absolutely. And so
That's
one after the next, you kind of
yeah.
get to this point where you're like, why am I listening to anyone who says I can't do this? I know I can do this. I'm
Yeah.
going to go do it now. But it
Yeah.
takes time to build up that confidence.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's one thing that I would say I'm a fairly confident person. But if you're not challenging yourself, you don't know, like you can kind of get comfortable where you're at. Like you said, you default to, well, I'm going to put the golden handcuffs on of a comfortable 9 to 5 job. And I was there too for 13 years and I learned a lot and I enjoyed it. I don't, where I was at, I don't, regret that time, but now I'm with you. I could never go back. But one thing I think I've heard Tony Robbins or someone say, is like you stack wins. And so when I say to myself, I'm going to get up and work out in the morning and I get up and work out, that goes into the win box. And if I say to myself, I'm going to get up and work out and I don't, then that goes into the loss column and that it starts robbing from the bank from the deposits of, stacking wins and you can find yourself like kind of deflated then. So I'm with you on you keep stacking those wins to keep the momentum and the progress going.
Absolutely. And you have to, because if you don't, you prove to yourself that you don't care enough about yourself to take a
Exactly.
risk.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to me. Like that's one thing that just breaks my heart is when people just give up.
Yeah.
Because even though it is a cliche, it's a cliche for a reason. If you just keep going and if you work through those losses,
Mm-hmm.
you win.
Yeah.
Like that in itself is a win, right?
Yeah. 100%.
If you learn a lesson through the loss, it's not a loss, it's a lesson
Yeah.
that leads you to more wins. And I
Yeah.
think when I don't know about you, Jimmy, but like when I finally understood that, I got so comfortable with losing.
Yeah.
And I still get afraid sometimes, but like getting rejected in sales calls or with contractors or with sales, like whatever it might be, I just don't give a fuck anymore because
Yeah.
I know it contributes to the bigger win.
It's more of a learning than a losing.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly. That needs to
Yeah.
go on a fucking quote wall. It's more learning than losing.
I'm
Absolutely.
gonna make a t-shirt.
Do it. I'll buy it. I'll be your first customer. Can I have 10?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like everybody's saying, interest rates are high and buyers don't want to come off or sellers don't want to come off their price, this and that. I'm like, you know what? It's true. It is a tougher environment right now. And I just turned the tables and said, you know what? I'm gonna see how many no's I can get.
Mm,
If I can get 10 people to tell me no, like eventually somebody's gonna say yes. But if my goal is the no, then hey, when they say yes, it's just like sweet, So
yep.
I've been trying to. I haven't got. I've been wanting to do a lot more, send out a lot more offers than I have been, but that's my plan. Just let's see how many no's we can go get.
Because you know that after a certain amount of no's or a certain amount of rejections, that
Yeah.
yes will be there.
Right. And if I'm expecting the no's and like that's my goal, then it's like a mind hack to where like I'm not going to be like, oh, it's the 10th no I've got. Like I'm just going to be like, hey, this is what I set out to do.
Yep, I expected this to happen. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
This is contributing to the bigger goal and the bigger win.
Yeah.
That's all it
Exactly.
is. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your current company and kind of what you're doing in real estate?
Yeah, for sure. So for real estate right now, I primarily do land investing. So undeveloped land, whether it needs structures taken off of it, whether it needs electricity, water, those things added to it and then resold. It's basically like house flipping. You just decide what's going to get me the highest market value for this property,
Yeah.
do what you need to it, and then resell it.
Yeah.
Really basic, simple, straight to the point.
Yep.
Which is like it's almost too boring if you know what I mean.
It doesn't have any of the quote unquote sexy stuff to it.
Yeah.
But real estate's
Those make money
boring.
though, so I'm not
Exactly.
complaining.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
At the
it's
end of the day,
been
that's all that matters.
exactly, exactly. And it's like if it's boring, I think it's more likely that someone else could repeat it. And so the next goal, especially in 2024, is to hire the right personnel to take over the day-to-day operations so that
Yeah.
I can focus more on the planning. And
Yeah.
I think that's the part that I've been like holding off on for so long. And like I've even talked to Scott Hannes about this, of telling him like, Scott, I am terrified to hire because I've made bad hires before
Yep.
and I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
What if they don't work out? And he's always, Scott, he's so like gentle, but will tell you what you need to hear.
Yep.
And he's just like, you just got to do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
fine, I'll go do it.
Yep.
Still haven't hired, working
Yeah.
on it, have a couple of VAs, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I think is more on me than it is on the company, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I could buy the best company in the world and still be afraid to hire
Yep.
because that's on me.
Yeah.
And so it's been a kind of a learning curve of myself, understanding why am I afraid to hire? Why am I afraid to go to the next level? And it's because I'm comfortable with where I'm at occasionally, right?
Yeah. Do you like control too? That's been it.
Not
That's been it for me.
Not so much anymore. I
Yeah.
used to be very controlling and I had to know everything that was going on and had to know exactly how my employees' time was being spent and the quality of their time. And I think I got over that when I realized that like my employees are not a direct reflection of me.
Yeah.
And I should not expect them to work as hard. I should not expect them to care as much. I should not expect them to be as mentally or emotionally invested as I am. Realistically, they should be operating at about a 30% of what I'm doing.
Hmm.
So when I started being a bit more empathetic with my expectations, I think that that desire for control went away.
That's good.
Not saying it doesn't still happen, but
Yeah.
I'm starting to trust a little bit more that if I ask the right questions in the beginning and if I screen people properly and if I set expectations, right,
Yeah.
for myself and for them, and
Yep.
if I have a clear vision for them, I just need them to grasp onto the idea and not just their paycheck idea, but what are they actually contributing to? Getting them
Yeah.
invested in the company
Yep.
and understanding what's important to them and saying, hey, how can I help you accomplish your goals?
Yeah.
And does this type of job align with what you're looking for
Yeah.
in your, not just for a paycheck, but in your life?
Yeah.
Is this the type of job that you want?
Yeah. I find attitude is a big thing too. Um,
Big
that
time.
was what at the W-2 we got up to 70 employees at one point, and I did the same. I hired a lot. I mean, there was a time where we were just trying to get warm bodies to fill seats and help. And it was, it was it wasn't the best route. But it was like, it was a fire drill at the time. And, I took responsibility, and there was a lot of other problems that were caused because of that. And I always say now, like, I'll hire a good attitude and teach you the skills, rather than hire the best skilled person for the position that has a crap attitude or whatever. So
Oh, absolutely. Because you can't teach good character.
exactly.
That's
Yep.
a trait that you're either born with or you're not.
Yep. Exactly.
Remind me what your W-2 was. What
It
did you
was,
do?
I ran a countertop shop.
Okay, that's what I thought. I
Yeah.
was like, it's something with construction.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did we would tear out countertops, put new ones in same day. We worked on commercial projects and things like that. So,
Okay.
um, yeah,
Is
we had
that
a
what
lot.
got you? Oh, I'm so sorry. I
No, go ahead.
was gonna say, is that what got you into real estate, or what was the hook for you?
Yeah. So, similar to your journey, I had an excavating business, and, I was young and dumb, 21, 22 years old. I knew I'd do all the work, but, I got this thing called QuickBooks and was trying to figure out, like, oh, money comes in, and, I didn't understand business. Then I started flipping houses after that because I had, I always had this itch for real estate, but didn't make a business out of it. I flipped some houses, made some money, broke even on some. Hindsight, if I would have kept all those that I flipped and had them as rentals, I'd be sitting pretty right now. But
Oh
uh,
man, don't we love to look back and just
yeah,
mourn?
yeah, but I wasn't ready for it, and I had to become a different person. And so in '09, when things were just really bad, '08, I took a job with this company. It was my wife's family's company, and I'm like, I'm good with just work. Just throw me wherever. I'll clean toilets. I'll do whatever. And installed, then got into the sales, got into management, and loved it. It fit my personality. And we grew it up to a lot bigger than it started. But then along that journey is where I started getting the itch for that entrepreneurial stuff again. And I'm like, you know what, real estate makes a lot of sense now as I start to think about future, building wealth. I wasn't super excited about 401ks in a stock market that I didn't understand. So yeah, anyway, that led to starting to buy properties and like, all right, I need to get out of here. So,
And when did you leave your 9 to 5?
it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I left, and the guy who replaced me didn't work out. He was there about 6 months, and so I went back in a part-time to help out, which I was happy to do because I still cared about the people there, wanted the business to succeed. And then they found a guy that was really good shortly after there. So I went back for a stint, but it's been about 12 months now.
Okay, that's what I
Like
was thinking.
100% gone, I think. So
Wow,
yeah,
congratulations. That's so
yeah,
exciting. I just
yeah,
love that for you.
yeah.
'Cause
That's been great.
I think when we met in Puerto Rico, you were still I think maybe you were still there part-time,
Yeah.
or maybe you were
Yep.
starting out of it.
Yeah.
And
No, I was
then,
there part-time then. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Yeah. And then
So
I
yeah,
think
maybe it's been, that was around March. It was
that was
shortly
like
after that,
February. Yeah.
yeah, it was shortly after that I was completely out.
Okay. Because, yeah, when I talked to you in June at the next event, you were done.
Yeah.
You were full in real estate.
Yeah.
And I was
Yep.
like, wow, this is so cool. I love this.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yep.
like, it's funny because I feel like when you truly are like a good indication of a true entrepreneur is someone who will go back and forth at first, but it's like you can't stay away from it, right? You
Yeah.
cannot stay away from
Yeah.
that entrepreneurship, from those bigger opportunities and those bigger risks
Yep.
because you know what's on the other side and you're
Right.
willing to risk it.
Yeah.
And so when you finally just left, I was like, this is awesome. Like
Yeah.
I am rooting for Jimmy right now.
Yeah.
And look at you now. Like,
Yeah.
aren't you happy that you
Oh
you
yeah.
followed through?
And then to be able to invest everything, like your whole self, into your own business and to your own ventures is where it's really rewarding.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, it's been great. I haven't looked back. Want to keep hammering the gas pedal, and so in a
Let's
healthy
go,
way.
2024.
Yeah,
I love the
2024.
attitude.
Yeah.
Because are you investing in commercial right now?
A little bit of
Or
everything. So I have some small multi single family, but trying to stay in the 10 to bigger properties. So 10 to 100.
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Yep.
I can't
So
say I'm there. I have one tenant, and even that I just don't have the patience because I'm so focused on other things that
yeah.
I've kind of put the brakes on the commercial real estate, at least for right now.
Yeah.
And
And
probably even for the single family. It might
yeah.
change in the future if I can take someone to replace that, but it's like, why would I do something I hate?
Yeah.
I love
Exactly.
people, but I do not like being a landlord.
Yep. And that's the thing, is just finding your niche and continuing to go with it. So what do you, as we talk about that, your journey, my journey, what do you think stops people from, let's say there's the imaginary person in their job. They want more. They see other people doing more. They want to they're frustrated, but they never take that leap. Like, what do you think are some things that stops people from making the leap into, and I know some people just aren't wired as an entrepreneur, but even, just taking a risk to get a different job, or, switch careers, or whatever it might be.
I think there's really only a couple reasons, and like one that I heard a long time ago that always just really resonated with me was it doesn't hurt bad enough to stay where you're at.
Yeah.
We tend to not move. Our brains kind of refuse to move or do work unless they're in pain. Pain is the biggest
Yeah.
needle mover, right? And you can think about this however you want. There are a lot of reasons why someone might move, but usually it always goes back to pain, right?
Yep.
I think enough people don't feel enough pain to want to change.
Yeah.
And it is easier to be neutral than it is to do anything about it.
Yeah.
There's that. And then I think, again, like people do lack that self-confidence and that self-love. And they don't believe that they can change, right?
Yeah.
Enough people have created a decent life where it's a societal norm to wake up and eat breakfast and work at a desk or work in a job from 9 to 5 and then party on the weekends. That's what's comfortable and that's what's accepted.
Yeah.
Like
Live
think
for the
about
weekend.
think about how easy it is to like do what all your friends are doing, right? Your friends don't say anything about it. Oh yeah, you're coming this weekend? You're going for a Super Bowl party? You're doing this, that? And you're like, yeah, easy, right? Like that's what we all do. And so when you step outside of that, suddenly not only are people not rooting for you, they're against you.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you work on the weekends? Don't you want to hang out? What, you think you're too good for us?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all of this like jealousy and negativity. And it makes sense, but it doesn't make it easy for people like us.
Yeah. Makes it harder.
It does. Yeah. And so you have suddenly all this pushback from people who used to support your neutrality.
Yep.
And so
Exactly.
it's like you're trying to do bigger and better things, and you would think that you would be rewarded for that openly, right? Like by your friends, by your family. And maybe like sometimes, depending on what kind of friend group you have or what, like how supportive your friends or family are. But if suddenly you're doing significantly better than them, even if you're not really talking about it, I think it comes out silently how
Yeah.
they actually feel.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we don't talk enough about. Like
Yeah.
we don't talk about how hard it is.
No, it's the hardest thing that somebody can do. I think to add to that is it kind of holds a mirror up. Like if you get the balls to step out or the guts to step out and do, something new, it holds a mirror up to them and they're like, well, my dream, like they know, they inner reflect that, well, I'm not doing that. And so they're like, yeah, whether it's a jealousy thing or they just are aware of their own, like, I'm not stepping up, it makes it that much worse or adds that much more tension to the relationship or whatever. I
Absolutely.
see you doing it.
Absolutely. And it's like when you think about like the way I kind of look at it, right, is like if I'm holding one end of a rope and you're holding another, and we suddenly put a lot of tension on that, eventually it has to be cut or it's going to
Yeah.
snap, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, how long do I tolerate this for? Number one. Number two, do I cut it off or do I let it die on its own?
Hmm.
Or do I wait for them?
Yep.
And like that was a big thing for me. Like this past year was cutting out people who didn't support, not only didn't support, but almost had a like they wanted to be a menace towards what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
Like they wanted to take advantage or they wanted to be my friend or they wanted to know me because of what they could get out of the relationship.
Yeah.
And that's like a big kick to the teeth
Yeah.
when
Yep.
you're not intentionally like trying to rub your success in anyone else's face, right? Like you're just doing you, but people
Yeah.
notice
Yeah.
and snakes come out.
Yep.
And it's like, oh wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But here we
Yeah.
are.
Just
And
another another hurdle in the entrepreneurial journey, as if it
another
wasn't hard
lesson.
enough.
Absolutely. And so to go back to your original question, I think all of those reasons are why people stay
Yeah.
in that societal norm. They stay with what's socially acceptable because it's too scary or too risky, or they lack the self-confidence to be different because
Yep.
being different is dangerous.
Yeah. No, I love it. You hit it right on the head there. That's why I have a heart for those people. Like that's part of this podcast is just trying to have people hear stories like this and be like, you know what? I'm going to step out and, it might not be quitting a job. Might not be as big and bold. It might be small steps. It might be just to get back in the gym or, work on your health or work on your mental health, whatever it is. But just to try and inspire people. I love, Tim, who runs our mastermind. He phrased it once and I've used this over and over is like, cause a lot of people look at Tim, he's got thousands of apartments, from the outside, uber successful. And I mean, from the inside, I know he is too, but like successful guy and starts a mastermind. When I joined, I had like 35 doors. People are all over the board, with where they're at and what their goals are. But he's like, I look at it like you're in an elevator and there's always somebody pulling you up to the next floor, but you're reaching down trying to pull the next guy up as you go along. And I just love that imagery of like, doesn't matter where you're at, there's somebody higher and there's somebody lower. And you're just trying to help them get to where you're at and you're trying to go up to the next floor with the next guy and do it all over again. So
Absolutely. It's monkeys in a barrel.
yeah. Yeah. And that's just a great, I wish more people could see it, but that's why we're
Absolutely.
trying to inspire them through stuff like this.
Absolutely. And you have to know who I think wants to be inspired and who doesn't,
Oh, that's a big point.
because
Yeah.
not everyone wants to be as
Yep.
successful as they could be.
Yep.
Like you can't want it more than them.
Right. Exactly. No, that's one thing I've learned is I've, got to whatever level of success I'm at now. Like I kind of, when anybody asks to go to coffee or asks about what I'm doing, I have my tester out, just to see like, all right, like I'm fine with answering questions, but are you
What do you
trying
want?
to, yeah, what do you want? And are you one of the ones, like, are you one that if I help, like you're gonna take some action and do something? Or are you just one that wants to hear about stuff and then you're never gonna do anything? So, um,
Exactly.
not that I won't talk to anybody or answer questions like that, but just, I'm looking for those people that want to try and better themselves. So
Absolutely. I think like a good mentor or a good teacher is someone who can recognize who wants to be taught and who
yeah,
wants to be led, right?
yeah,
It's like I'm not going to go out and try to change the world in a way that people don't want to change. I'm going to go after the lowest hanging fruit, or I'm going to let people who come to me first say, "Hey, I want to learn more about this. Will you teach me?"
hmm,
And then ask them, "Well, what are other things that you've learned?" Or give me examples of ways that you've
yeah,
done more than what's expected.
yeah,
And how do you see my knowledge and my expertise and my time helping you?
yeah,
And if you answer those questions, which you ask it more in a conversational way, right?
right,
But
yeah,
if people can't put purpose behind why they want to talk to you, then they don't have a real reason to talk to you.
yeah, right, exactly. No, that's good stuff.
I know that sounds harsh. I'm a nice person, I promise. I've honestly gotten so just like dialed in with my time.
That hit on that. Yeah, that's a
Dude,
good one.
it's wild because like I used to be the most distracted person and I used to procrastinate and say, "Well, I'll do this up until the deadline," right? Like I was the person getting homework done at 11:59 p.m. before the assignment was due at midnight. That was
Mhm.
how I lived.
Yeah,
And now I mean, I'm not mad that I acted that way because I didn't necessarily know how detrimental that was.
right.
But like one of my mentors, like David Meltzer, he talks about time all the time. And so finally I was like, okay, what am I not understanding here? Like, why is it so important? And I started realizing that the more I respect time, the more I say, hey, I'm going to be responsible with the 24 hours I've been given,
Yeah,
the more opportunities will come to me that reflect that responsibility.
yeah,
And so I mean, I'm not perfect at it by any means, but it's so important to care about your time
yes,
and to say, what difference can I make today? Not, oh, well, if a couple hours goes by, no big deal. No, it is a big deal. Like this
yeah,
could be your last 24 hours. We could die tomorrow.
exactly. And that is you're hitting on one of my life's I don't want to say mission. I don't know what it is, but I'm
It's a mission. It's okay. We
yeah,
can call it that.
yeah.
I
And as
like
I get
that.
older, I realize, holy cow, like I'm halfway through or a little more than halfway through. Um, went over the hill. I'm 41, so
Okay,
um,
yeah, you've got time.
yeah, I got time and I know I have time, but I'm also like, I got a lot I want to do in these next years. And I know I might keel over tomorrow. So let's make the most of it. And I think, going back to like valuing our like stacking wins with being consistent and doing the things we say we're going to do, I feel like when you do that, I think you even said you value yourself more and you have that confidence. I think it's the same with time. Like when you start to value, like, hey, this is my time. I only have 24 hours in this day. I need to do X, Y, Z, and you don't want to waste it. And you create more value, more self-worth and more value to like, hey, my time's worth something. And it helps kind of drive that same spirit.
Absolutely. It creates significantly more energy
Yes.
as
Yeah.
well. Because if I know I only have a certain amount of time to do things and I'm considered on the clock 24 hours out of the day,
Hmm.
I'm going to get significantly more efficient. And yeah, I might run out of physical energy, but if I'm that passionate about using my time wisely, I'm significantly more productive and I'm more present. That's
Yeah.
the other thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
is I will do everything I can to say, hey, from this time to this time, this is all I'm doing.
Yep.
This is what I'm focusing on, which is not easy for me, right? Like
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
ADHD,
Yeah. Same here.
significant ADHD. And it was just never normal for me to be focused on one task. And now
Yeah.
it's like I thrive when I'm only on one task. It's all
Yeah.
about how you perceive it. And it's
Yeah.
all about how much you value and respect time, which is
Yeah.
such a new lesson for me, but it's changed how I
Yep.
do everything.
Yeah. No, it's our most valuable resource, our most precious resource, and we can't get more of it. And
Oh,
I always think of it like if I had a bunch of gold, if I had a, and I couldn't get any more gold, I'm not going to waste it by, sprinkling some over here and leaving some over there. Like I'm going to be hoarding that thing and like protecting it. And so
absolutely. It's a great way to look at it.
our time. Like, so it's, but it's hard to do sometimes.
It is.
I'm a
Oh, it
squirrel chaser
absolutely
as well.
is. It absolutely is. And it's like, how much do you care enough about yourself
Yeah.
to respect your time and to respect other
Yeah.
people's time?
Yep.
And do you have the self-confidence and the determination to say, today I care enough about my time
Yep.
to respect it and to use it wisely?
Yeah. No,
And then
that's a
you
great
just
point.
get more opportunities.
Hmm.
Suddenly 24 hours becomes a lot of hours.
Yeah.
You're like, is this day over yet? It's only 10 a.m.
Yep. Yeah.
But if you value it, it's not that you get more of it, but I think you find better ways to utilize it.
Yeah. Great point. So I feel like I derailed you a little bit back, taking you off your story.
There is no derailing. We are fine. We are wonderful.
So let's talk a little bit more about where you're at now, and maybe where you're heading, where you want to go, your goal. You talked about 2023 being a rough year. What's your 2024 look like, and yeah, what's your business look like now?
Every year that I say this is going to be what I accomplished this year, it's like it changes in a good way, where the most unexpected things happen.
Yeah.
And it's like I could make a plan. Yeah, I could, but I just know that the universe is gonna shake its head and laugh at me and say, that's not what you're doing this
Yep.
year. But that being said, I think of it more like a general purpose of things that I want to accomplish or the impact I want to have on my life or other people's lives. And so specifically, with this land investing, I want it to be a company that feeds other companies.
Hmm.
And it's weird because I think a couple of years ago I would not have appreciated having more than one asset or more than one cash flowing asset. And now it's crucial, right?
Yeah.
Because you see how many people's companies go to shit and then they're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to build two companies at once, like a year ago, it was like, this isn't just like a 8-hour day or even a 12-hour day. Like this is going to be a 16-hour day, and you're gonna have to get smarter with what you do. And so it's been, yeah, a learning curve for sure. But with the land investing, that's just a cash cow to feed the business consulting Be Well,
Yeah.
which is the one I started in Puerto Rico, actually, when we were at our event.
Yeah.
And that's been, how like when you start something, you just get that feeling of this could be huge if I'm responsible with what I've been given, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I think if you are blessed enough to get an idea, you should take action on it,
Yeah.
because you're the only person who could have that exact vision for something. And so with Be Well, just as I've tested things out, especially over the last 6 or 8 months, getting new clients, learning about the impact that we can actually have with the system I created, I thought it would be so disrespectful to not capitalize on this and to not help others capitalize on their success, right? Maybe not capitalize on their success, but capitalize on their potential.
Yeah.
And so I started helping companies scale like dramatically. And I tested some stuff out and we started shooting revenue. Like our average revenue increase per quarter is 68%
It's awesome.
by how we help people.
Yeah.
And I think our highest right now is like 185%. Like that's how much we've scaled companies. And so as soon as I did like these different tests and did them over time. Like it was like 3 to 4 months of just testing the same companies over and over, seeing how we helped them, tracking everything,
Yeah.
and then sitting back and going, holy shit, we can build that. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can make other companies more money long term by what
Yeah.
we're doing. Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
So I got more mentors. I started working more one-on-one. I started shutting other valves off that weren't serving me, right?
Yeah.
People, habits, like I stopped drinking, which was,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's a
Me
little
too.
uncomfortable at first. You did?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Congratulations.
is weird. It's awkward.
It is. It is at first, and then it's like you're grateful when
Yeah.
you don't even feel the need to do it.
Yeah. And when you wake up feeling fresh.
When you would have been hungover
Yeah.
otherwise, like
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
so worth it because then you get an entire day, you get more time
I think
to do what you're
100%.
supposed to be doing.
That's what that was the catalyst for me.
Yeah,
Health. Yeah. Health and time.
love that. Well,
Yeah.
you got really invested with your health. Was it burpees that you
Yeah.
did like a burpee
Yeah.
challenge?
Did a
I saw
did a
your
burpee
stories
challenge. Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, damn, he is committed. There's no way.
Yeah. And honestly, that goes back to the stacking wins. It was something I hated, and I knew the holidays were coming up, and I always like just eat terrible. And like, I didn't want to go, you get to the end of the year and then you fall backwards and then everybody starts their resolution. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do this challenge. And now I love burpees. And it was just something for me to focus on and say, I'm going to do this. And, take the focus off going backwards. So
Amazing.
yeah.
You just got 2 months ahead of everyone else. You're like, I'm going to
Yeah.
start these resolutions right now.
Yep. That's basically what I did.
Oh, that's great. Do you still
Yeah.
do them?
Yeah, I still do. I don't do 100. I do 50 to 100
Every day?
every day.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Because that's my warm up. I go out and I
That's
do
my warm up.
50 to 100 before I do anything
Damn.
else. Because then
Wow,
it's just
congratulations.
I check that box. It's like making my bed. It's like, I'm going to do these burpees and everything else is good for the day. So
The rest of us are just trying to get a 2-minute stretch in. Timmy's over here, 50 to 100 burpees every morning.
Yeah.
Right when I make my bed, checklist.
The thing
I
is,
love
it'll probably
that.
catch up to me for not stretching.
I mean, I guess you're stretching in a way. It's just
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
more
going like
painful.
ham on them. Don't get me wrong. They're nice and calculated, steady. I'm not
nice.
I'm not setting any world records.
I mean, if you do it every single day for the next 10 years, you might. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there you
I don't
go.
know. Do you want to be in the Guinness Book of World
Yeah.
Records? Now's your chance.
That'd be kind of a cool thing. I need to think about that. Yeah.
I heard they don't make it anymore, do they?
Oh, I don't know.
Sorry, that's a
Something I'll have
squirrel
to check
thought.
into. Yeah. That'll be on the next episode. I'm gonna
There we
follow
go.
up with that one.
Did anyone look into this?
Well, Bobbie, this has been great. I don't want to end. I want to have you give, like, if you could give advice to those people we were talking about, what are 2 to 3 things that for those people that are in positions that are like, the pain's not quite enough. Maybe there's some fear. There's also some of that comfort of just where they're at and not wanting to change. Like, what are 2 or 3 pieces of advice you'd give them?
Number one, get a mentor.
Let's stop there for 1 second. You said that, you said you grabbed some mentors as you were building the business. Let's talk about that real quick. Cause that's a huge, I think coaching, it's something I personally in the past would have been like, coaches, they just want your money. Like, what's someone actually going to tell you? Because we have so much information, YouTube and Google and now AI, like, it's not a lack of information, but that's not really where the value comes from. So speak to coaches, mentors, mastermind a little bit real quick. Is that
For sure.
is that your first one? So
And it's the first one for a reason, right? Like, you know that just as well as I do, Jimmy. I want to clarify there's a difference between a guru and a mentor, right? And there's a difference between a good mentor and a bad mentor. I would I would say a guru is someone who's going to show you the map, and a mentor is someone who's going to show you how they walked that map.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to give you the map, and they're probably, if they're a good mentor, they're going to walk that same path with you.
Yeah.
And they're going to
Okay.
empathize, and they're going to show you the lessons, not tell you, but show you the lessons that they experienced that are going to help you most.
Yeah.
I've been a part of bad mentorships. I've been a part of good mentorships. You kind of have to experience both to know what's good and what's not.
Yep.
But I think doing a lot of research on the type of mentor that you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
What do you actually want to accomplish? I think too many people, like, I know I bought a course for like 15 grand. That was my first big investment back in 2021, I think. It's been a few years. And it was the worst quality. And it was just terrible, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known what a good mentorship was or what a good mentor was without having the bad. Like, you have to
Yeah.
have that contrast,
Yep.
right? And so I'm so glad that I decided to just keep looking for good mentors because it's completely transformed my life. Like, I'm not the same person I was even a
Right.
year ago. And
Yeah.
it's not because I sat at home alone looking at YouTube videos saying, "Oh, I could do this." It was because I talked to my mentors every single day, like
Yeah.
in Legacy and the other mentors that I have.
Yeah.
We're in constant communication. And then I go and do the work. And so
Yep.
having that person next to you, or people, right?
Yep.
Having those people next to you to say, "Hey, we've already walked this, so we know likely what you're going to experience, and we're here for you." That
Yep.
encouragement and that expectation, because they expect you to be your best.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that is what pushes me forward.
Yeah. It's like an unspoken, well, some of it's just direct accountability, but some of it's just like it's like an unspoken accountability because you want to perform. You don't want to go back to the next meeting or the next time you guys talk and say, well, I'm still where I'm at. And you want to try and level up.
Mhm.
And just to add to all that, which I think's fantastic. And I agree 100% with is, I found like the mastermind. Tim's an inspiration. It's his mastermind. He's put it together. Like he's great. The fact that he organizes it all, does all that, it's amazing. But also the people that he's curated in the group, like it's been just as beneficial meeting and talking with those people as it is to any of my interactions with Tim. And I love hanging out with Tim, but it's just as good. I've met so many good people and friends and everything else now. And I mean, it's why we're talking now. It's
Exactly.
it's because of that mastermind. And it's something special that I would have never given credit to a few years back. And I would have been like, oh, it's just, I don't know.
A mastermind. It's just another cult, another group.
Yeah. Another thing that somebody wants your money. They're just trying to get you it's a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. And it's so much, and there's probably some of those out there. Like you said, there's bad
Big
coaches, there's bad mentors, but, it's been massively effective in my own life. And I've seen it in other people's as well.
It's so cool. And it's a great point. Like, that specific mastermind does attract people that are good, right?
Yeah.
And it pays for itself so quickly.
Yes.
Not just in money. I mean, it does if you do it right.
Yep.
But like in the opportunities and in the relationships.
Yes.
And you have so much relationship capital.
Yeah.
Just by paying every single month. And it's like, I think also knowing that you have that support when things go wrong.
Yep.
Because think about if you didn't have anyone to say it gets better, you'd probably quit, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so having people say, "Hey, like, yeah, we've tripped over this before. We've had these problems before. This is normal. Keep going."
Yeah.
Is so encouraging.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if they can do it, I can definitely do it.
Yep. Exactly. And it's fun. And in 3
so
weeks,
fun.
we all get to hang out again, some cool place. Are you going? You going to
I
New
won't be
Orleans?
there this time.
Oh, that stinks.
No, I just have a lot going on for work,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things that I just needed to, shut off and not focus on a trip and instead just focus on work.
Yeah.
But I'll probably be at the smaller one or at the one after that.
Yeah, I get it. I miss Scottsdale, so I'm itching that
See,
much more
now
to
we're
stay.
even.
Yeah, to get to the next one. So,
Absolutely.
well, that
Did you want the other two things or
yeah,
was that
yeah.
good? Oh,
No,
okay.
let's
Um,
hit at least one more.
let me think about it. I mean, yeah, having a
So,
mentor and then
yeah, coaches
I
and
would,
mentors, 100%. To get to the next level. What would one other one be?
man, there's like 50,000. I would say, I don't even know how to really say it, but like, give a fuck about it.
Hmm. Yeah, this is really good. I think too many
Because,
people. Yeah, I'll let you explain it.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's not a like a coach is like a it's a easy like you know what a coach is, but like to actually care, like to care about your own life enough to move, to get off the it's like the you talked about the there's not enough pain, and I've heard that saying about the dog laying on a nail, and someone's like, why doesn't the dog get off the nail? And it's like, well, it doesn't hurt enough. And so it's like make that nail hurt enough to move. Even if it's
Yep,
bettering yourself where you're at and you're staying at your job, great. But like just getting off the norm and bettering yourself and the people around you and your situation, all that. So yeah, just just
absolutely.
just move. Just I love it. That's fantastic.
I think, yeah, you have to, if you are a victim to your life and you say, well, it just doesn't hurt bad enough, guess what? It's up to you if you want to make it hurt enough.
Hmm.
Every single thing that you do contributes to how you live your life and what kind of life you live.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't happy with where you're at, that has nothing to do with anyone else and everything to do with you. And that's a very controversial statement
Yeah.
because people will say, well, I wasn't born in America, or, oh, I didn't have a good childhood, or this or that, right? The thing is everyone has trauma. Everyone has bad circumstances.
Yep.
Everyone has things that they go through.
Yep.
Some of the best people in the world have come from worse circumstances than what most victims complain about.
Yep.
But they
Exactly.
don't, successful people, they don't complain. They contribute or they
Yeah.
attribute their success to those circumstances.
Exactly.
You are 100% in control of how your life is going. And
Yep.
that's it.
Yeah, and you
Like,
can
give
look
a
at all
fuck
those
about it.
things. You can look at all those things like I wasn't this or I am this. You don't know my story. Or you can look at all the opportunity out there. Like, oh, I can change. Oh, there's these things out there. There's this program. There's these coaches. And you can see the opportunity or you can be the victim and see only the negative.
Absolutely. And so I think if you actually care enough about making that change, like you have to care in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to take the action. It's like you have to have the determination to want to do it. And then you have to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to move forward no matter what. Like you can't turn back.
Yep.
And if you really believe that about yourself, and even if you don't believe it, make a change to believe it.
Love it.
And
Yep.
yeah, I would say that's the other biggest thing. Get a mentor, get a coach, get someone to walk you through what you want to accomplish, someone who has already accomplished it,
Yeah.
and require that they walk it with you. Not tell you how to walk it, but walk through it with you.
Yeah.
And the second is just give a fuck. If you
Yeah.
really want to make a change
Yeah.
and
Love it.
find people to support it.
Yeah. Amen. Well, on
Cool.
that note, that's awesome stuff. This has been a great
Yeah, this is fun,
conversation.
dude.
Yeah, love it. I could talk about this stuff for hours. Like,
Oh, I know. It's like when you surround yourself with people that have a similar or better mindset, right?
yeah,
It's conversations are just, oh, they're so high quality where I'm like, can
yeah,
we just like write a book about
yes,
all the things that we talk
yeah,
about? It's
yeah.
wonderful.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. If people want to find you, where can they reach out to you at?
You can email me, bobby.r.oliver@gmail.com for general inquiries. I'm also on Instagram at Bobbie the Builder 2.0, Facebook occasionally. I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, we'll link that. We'll link that in the notes when this comes out, and yeah, everybody go check out Bobbie and her journey. So
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for having me, Jimmy. It's great talking to you as always. Have fun in
always
the
fun.
Netherlands.
Yep, I'll let you know how it goes.
Please do. All
All
right,
right,
we'll talk
Bobbie.
to you
Thanks a
later.
lot.
All
Appreciate it.
right.
We'll
Thanks.
see you.